So this will be Elizabeth Schroeder. She'll be coming up here in a second. The title of her presentation is The Great Tomato Explosion. Can't wait to hear about this one. Adventure with Family You Choose. The story of two unrelated families coming together. Thank you, Elizabeth.
My name is Elizabeth Schroeder. It is spelled Schroeder.
Sorry, my apologies.
No, I always want to say I didn't choose it, but I sort of did. I married into it. But I digress. My husband and I we moved to Madeira Halloween of 2010, so we've been here about 14 years. And I work for Simple Thanks Tree Care. So if anyone has ever called Lexi for tree work, I am the voice on the other end of that phone. But I'll start with a conversation that took place in my kitchen and garage a few months ago. Does this one have water? Yep. Did somebody put water in it? Yes, they did. Water? Yep. Cut to one of the four adults taking the lid off of the pressure canner to visually put eyes on the water actually being in the canner. Traditions and celebrations frequently lead to life lessons. For us, and this group of two families, double, triple, and quadruple checking that our pressure canner has water in it is one of those lessons. Because what happens if there is not water in your pressure canner? Explosions of the tomato variety for us, and no one wants to clean that up. There's broken glass involved, and no one wants to buy a new canner, which we did have to do a few years ago because this happened. Who is this us? That's my family and one other family. Combined, we have 4 adults and 7 children whose current ages range from 12 to 5. There are 2 5-year-olds. They are identical twin boys who are just as troublesome as every stereotype that you could imagine identical twin boys to be. They're mine, so I can say that. And sometimes there is a set of grandparents who drives down to help out. What are we doing when we ask each other about the water content of our canners? We're canning. Every August or September, we have what we call Tomato Weekend. We obtain anywhere from 3 to 6 bushels of tomatoes, augmented by what my family grows in our garden. And then we process it as salsa, spaghetti sauce, diced tomatoes. Occasionally, the aforementioned grandparents will bring a bushel or so of apples from their orchard in northern Ohio, and we'll make applesauce and apple pie filling too. The event lasts anywhere from one afternoon to one epic year where it was 2 full days, like 8 to 10, 2 days in a row. This was mostly due to us being newbies and nowhere near efficient. It was not the year we did 6 bushels. Around a decade ago, my friend Kelly Kubander, so anyone in Madeira who knows her, asked my husband and I if we wanted to can some tomatoes with her. I immediately said yes. I had never seen a ball jar in the flesh. I am a city girl from New England. Knew nothing, just said sure, this sounds fun. So I went in blind, and she and I learned from her mom how to can and prepare food. We were lucky to have a source in northern Ohio who lets us pick their tomatoes for an obnoxiously low price. I think it's about $5 a bushel. If you try to buy a bushel of tomatoes in Cincinnati, you're paying a lot more because we've tried to source more locally, and the 5-hour round trip drive is still worth it. I could be wrong on the prices. My job is usually planning the Kroger delivery of all the things that we don't grow. And we've learned how to make her family's spaghetti sauce recipe. We started with just a published salsa recipe, and we got to work. Chopping vegetables, cooking on the stove, and other associated tasks lend themselves towards a social gathering. We're able to chat, watch football, drink a couple beers while preparing food for the winter. And I think we were ahead of the game with the whole homesteading thing. And we've actually taught friends how to preserve their own food too, because others are getting into it. We all enjoyed it that first year, and we agreed we'd do the same the following year. And so we did. It's been, I think, 10 years, and we've seen some things. That epic 2 full day endeavor, we were filling the canners full of water. You only need about 3 quarts. Because pressure canners work by creating a sealed environment. Boiling water creates steam, it creates pressure, it cooks your food, it seals the jars. It takes a lot longer to bring a lot of water to boiling than it does a smaller amount. We played a lot of Trivial Pursuit that year because there's a lot of sitting around by that point. Our largest volume year was where we did 6 bushels. I think we ended up sharing most of what we canned because right now we are at 3 to 3.5, and that's a perfect amount for 1 year. So I don't know what we did with so much extra. I think we just shared. 1 year, I got a call from the Kroger click list worker. Did you really want 20 green peppers? Yep, I did. But the past 2 years, we have my husband and I have grown in our garden, which is his labor of love. I just tell the kids to weed and harvest. He does all the hard stuff. We've grown enough peppers in our garden that we have not needed to purchase any. So that has been a fun accomplishment that we've maintained for a few years. And then there were the years we added kids to the mix. So the first couple of children were a minor impact, but I distinctly remember being pregnant with my second on tomato weekend. It was my first trimester. Anyone who's been there knows the exhaustion can be epic, and I'm pretty sure I napped on my friend's couch half of the day, and her mom took my spot in the kitchen. Then there was the year that my family, we had to skip altogether. We had our twins in the spring of 2019. I get emotional every time. It's not emotional. It is. At 26 weeks. Anyone who's been pregnant knows that's not typical. So they were 3 months early and were residents of Good Sam's NICU for about 4 months. They came home on full oxygen support August 1st of that year, and we were in no condition to can tomatoes for a day or two. We were getting tangled up in oxygen tubes. We've squeezed in 3 bushels in a half day when our busy schedules were in the way. So if anyone knows Kelly, you won't be surprised to hear that she has done the Frogman triathlon in the morning and canned tomatoes all afternoon. More than once. And let's not forget, we're usually working around nap and swim practice and soccer and all of the fun things that our children like to do. Traditions aren't complete without artifacts, and one of my favorites is a notebook. So in it are the notes of how much we made, what the perfect ratio of hot peppers to salsa is, how many cups of diced onion you can get out of a 3-pound bag, where the best deal is on lids, and other evidence of all of the mental work that goes into that weekend. But my favorite part of the tradition is how our children have come into it. All of them can now meaningfully help. That was a game changer this year. And they enjoy doing it for a while until they get distracted and run around and play and jump on a bounce house. The 5-year-olds help wash the tomatoes. And to be fair, the 7-year-olds disrupt the washing of tomatoes by spraying each other with water. The 10-year-olds help peel tomatoes and have started cutting them. And the 12-year-old uses his knife skills from Boy Scouts to dice them like a champ. And I realized as I was writing this out, it sounds like there's multiple sets of twins. No, the 10 and 7-year-olds just happened to be born around the same time in different families. And the 12-year-old, who's at the age where hanging with your family starts to not be fun or cool, he still proclaims it's his favorite weekend of the year. We'll choose tomato weekend over usually preferred activities. So I think we are sort of doing the whole traditions with the family you choose. We've got it right, at least for now. And I'll close with 2 more life lessons, so make sure there's water in your pressure canners. Tomato guts get everywhere, so you think you've cleaned your kitchen, and months later you find a little speck of red that's from tomato weekend. So they're just everywhere. And make sure that you have a carbon monoxide detector plugged in if you'll be running your gas stove for hours on end. So.